Wednesday, grade 5s. Hi, hopefully you're doing well. Today's Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. All you'll need today is your math notebook, pencil highlighter. You will be doing textbook questions later, but that's what you need later. For now, that's all you need as always. Open to a fresh page, write down the date. The title today, we're calculating volume. So that's new. It's a new equation. It's very similar to, well, not very similar, it's similar to area. You understand area, multiplying two different things. Volume just happens to be a little bit more, but again, multiplication is key. You need to remember how to multiply. And then we're doing our I can statement, which is I can determine the volume of a three-dimensional shape. So please write that down and we can talk about what volume is. You may or may not have learned it, you may have never heard of it, so we're going to learn what it is, what it means, and then we're going to try to figure out how we can calculate volume, but we need to understand what it is first. So date, title, I can statement, and then let's write it down. So volume, I'll get my, let me just fix. Okay. Volume. So when someone is talking about volume, what that means, so we talked about perimeter, it's the total around a shape, right? Area is what is within the shape of that two-dimensional. And remember, so area and perimeter were always what kind of dimensional shapes? Two-dimensional. We've never, all those examples that we did, it was always 2D. Volume only comes into play when there is a three-dimensional, and you'll see why. You'll see why when we're doing the questions and the equation. But you never calculate the volume. You can't. You literally cannot calculate the volume of a 2D shape. So you can never do volume of this shape. You just can't. You need three units, three dimensions. And so you'll understand why in a moment. Okay, so the volume, what volume means, so it is the amount of space inside of a 3D shape. Okay? So, write that down. Volume is the amount of space inside of a 3D shape. So while you're writing that, and let me try to explain it. I brought one of my boxes, one of my rectangles. It's very similar to a square, but even if it's a square, it doesn't matter if it's a square or a rectangle, any shape that is 3D. So in this case right now, so yesterday and everything before this point, we've only looked at just one side. Right? We've only looked at we'd only looked at the lid. We only looked at the front side, right? We said, okay, perimeter would be side plus side plus side plus side, correct? Yeah. Area, we said, okay, length times width. Now we're doing volume, which is the space inside of this box. I want to know how much. So let's say Miss Mavish wants to fill this in. So right now I currently, you can open it with one hand. I currently have just packets of all my teas. So I have all these teas in there. And maybe I'm trying to figure out how many jelly beans or how many Oreo cookies, because they're vegan, how many Oreo cookies I can fill in this. If I'm trying to fill a 3D object, then I'm looking at volume, right? Now the reason for volume, you can't do it for 2D dimensions, or 2D shape, well, 2D object, is because there's three elements. So yesterday, or anything before this, we were looking at perimeter, we were looking at four sides, right? You just add. Area, we were just doing length times width. Now for volume, you need three different dimensions. You need the length, you need the width, and then you also need the height. So that's what we're gonna get into right now. I'm gonna pause this now if you need to write this down, and then I'm gonna erase it. So, volume, so you're going to write underneath the definition. Volume, the equation, so we do a similar thing that we did for area and perimeter. If you look back to a couple days ago when we did the notes for area and perimeter, we always said, what was the equation? Okay, so the equation is, and actually I'll write it down here, purple. V for volume, I'll write it all down for now because it's our first time looking at it. We can say volume is equal to length far, this is the area for, this is the equation for area, right? There's one more, times height. So if I didn't have height, you'd be correct that that is just the equation for area. But when you add the third dimension, the third element of the equation, it becomes volume. So you can simplify it and say V is equal to length times width times height. So that is your simplified version. This is, and highlight that. That's what you don't always have to write the full length. I'm writing it, write it down now for sure, because it's our first time looking at it. But when we do practice questions, when you do things in your notebook, you don't always have to write the full form, right? V is equal to L times W times H, which is volume is equal to length times width times height. So again, you're probably realizing it's just multiplication, right? What that looks like as a shape, I'll do the shape at a moment. Let's just do the second bit, which is measure in units measured in, which was also the same thing we did for perimeter and area. And once again, it could be anything. It could be centimeter, it could be meter, it could be kilometer, any of the units we've learned. But now, so a few things. Perimeter was just centimeter, right? I'll write this in. Perimeter would be, let's say, 15 centimeter. Area would be 15 centimeter what? 15 centimeter squared. Now, units for volume, it would be V is equal to 15 centimeter, and I'll make a purple, cubed. 3. So 3 represents cubed. So this was squared. We had nothing for perimeter and cubed. Now, the reason for it, right, and perfect way to memorize it, 3, because there's 3 different dimensions being multiplied together. In area, there's only 2 dimensions being multiplied. Perimeter, there's nothing being multiplied, so it's just nothing, right? That's your best way to memorize it. So perimeter, there's no number, because there's nothing being multiplied. Area, there's 2 numbers being multiplied, so it's a 2, which is squared. And with volume, which you're going to see, you're multiplying 3 numbers. That's why you're going to see a 3. Okay? So, let's do, let me just write this down. Cubed, cubed, cubed. Okay? Perimeter, nothing. Area squared, volume cubed. Okay? Get used to the terminology. Just say it out loud a few times. Because I know we're not practicing, we're not talking in class, but say it out loud so you get used to the terminology. Okay? I'm going to pause there. You pause that. Pause it if you need to, and then I'm going to erase it, and we're going to do some examples. Okay? So, now like I said, if you know multiplication, this is very, very easy. And if you don't know multiplication that well, it's still easy. You just have to work on your multiplication. That is it. That's all. I feel like that's all I've been stressing for the past week. Okay, let's look at an example. And after you do some examples, it will become much, much easier. So, now I'm going to draw a 3D shape. Try your best. I know very often when I'm teaching this, kids get very frazzled and very panicked because they can't get a perfect 3D shape. Just do your best. It's okay. Okay? Let's do, now follow my steps, it'll be easier. So draw a rectangle. Okay? Okay? Then draw these like slanted diagonal lines and connect them. Okay? And then you come down, but then you stop kind of the same length as this, and then you connect the 2 lines. Okay? That's a 3D object. Now, I won't draw the 3. Okay, that's a 3D object. Now let me fill in. Let me say I've given you the, let's say, the length. Where am I doing? Yeah, let's do this one. So I've given you, this is 3 centimeters. And this is also a very visual thing. So let me write it down and I'll show you in my box. So the width is 3 centimeters. The length is, let's say, 5 centimeters. And the height, that's new for us, let's say it is 6 centimeters. Okay? So write that down. What I'm basically saying, I'll take my box for example. Okay, this is my box. I'm saying that, for example, this, right, this measurement is 3. This over here is 5. And then the height is 6. You have 3 different units, right? Even if you look at from the top, you've got this as 3. You've got this as 5. And then the height. Think of height is just how high something is. That's right. This is how tall or how high my box is. If I put this down, the height is 6 centimeters. The length and the width are always as normal as they've always been, right? Think of length and width as just if it was a 2D shape, right? 2D shape. Just length and width, and then height is how tall an object is, okay? So that's what we got. Length and width, and then height. Then you're just solving it. So let's write this down over here. What's my equation? We just learned that V is equal to length times width times height. Now, we have always multiplied two numbers together, right? We've always said 5 times 9, 9 times 4, 4 times 7, whatever it is, two numbers. Rarely have we done 3 together. So let's break it down. That's what you need to learn. You need to break it down. So let's just fill it in. Do we know all of these? Yes, we do. So volume, we don't know. We're trying to find out what volume is. And that's what this question is, right? What is the volume? What is our length? We know that our length is 5 centimeter times 3 centimeter, which is our width, times what is our height, how high something is 6 centimeters. So that's what I have so far. 5 times 3 times 6. And sometimes, if you don't want to write the centimeters, that's also okay, because sometimes it gets really messy, right? So for now, that's okay. As long as your final answer has the units, you can just write down 5 times 3 times 6, because it just helps make it look a little less busy. So your first job is to chunk it. Think of chunking. Excuse me. Is to just do 2 numbers together. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to just take 2 numbers, because that's how you know how to multiply. You only know how to multiply 2 numbers together. So let me just do these 2 first. These 2. I'm going to multiply these. Okay? So what is 5 times 3? 5 times 3 is 15. And then you just bring everything else down, right? Think of it like your division, right? You just bring everything else down. I've taken care of this. So 5 times 3 times 6. That's way too hard. Chunk it. Break it down. What's easier for you? So do it 2 first. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, now I have to do the last part. 15, I'm just going to bring down 6. Now, 15 times 6. Okay, that's a little bit more complicated. So do your lattice, do your traditional multiplication, right? So 15 times 6. Who remembers how to do this? Hopefully everyone does, right? 6 times 5 is 30. Put 0 here, put 3 here. 6 times 1, remember, you go this way first, and then you go this way. Right? This up, and then across. 6 times 1 is 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 90. So my answer will be 90 centimeter cubed. That's all. So it's very similar to area, right? Remember in the beginning I said similar to area, but you just have a third number. And the only difference is you just chunk it. You make it a little smaller. So instead of just saying 5 times 3 times 6, whew, that's overwhelming. That's a lot of numbers, right? Even for me, I don't want to do all 3 in my mind. I probably can, but I don't want to. So you break it up. You say, okay, I'm going to do 5 times 3 first, just to simplify it. And then I'm going to say, okay, 5 times 3 is 15. And then you welcome back that friend that you just said goodbye to for a moment, okay? Does that make sense? And then you just multiply. You can do lattice, whatever traditional multiplication, or if you just know it, that's also great too. Okay, let's do a few more examples. Let's say, so same thing. We'll do 2 more examples. We'll do one more together, and then you'll try to do one together on your own. Let's say example 2. Purple's dying. Okay, let's say example 2. Now, I'm going to do a much longer rectangle. Okay, so draw with me if you're really, really picky. Okay, and then I'm going to go this way. You have to remember, I'm writing from a side, so I never know if it's straight or not. Okay, and this time let me say the length is 9 meters. The width is 6 meter, and the height this time is only 2 meter. So it's a very small box. I don't really have anything here that would resemble that, but just a much slimmer box. So maybe it's this book I can take. Maybe it's this book. So I'm looking at, because it's still a 3D shape, right? I'm looking at this is this is 9. This down here is 6, and the height is only 2. So it's a much slimmer little rectangle, but it's still rectangle prism, but it's still 3D. Still, you can calculate volume. So let's do this together. We know the equation. Volume is equal to what? Length times width times height. Do we know the volume? No, we're trying to find the volume. Let's fill in what we do have. What's our length? 9 meters. And I won't write meter because it gets messy. 9 times, what's our width? 6. And what is our height? 2. So at this point, now we were trying to do 9 times 6 times 2. Again, it's overwhelming, so let's just break it up. Let's just do these two first. Okay, so we're trying to do 9 times 6. What is 9 times 6? Everyone should know. 54. Okay, and once you're done that, so remember, we just put away the h for a little while. We do length times width, which is 9 times 6, first, which is 54. And then we bring back the 2. Then we bring back the height, right? Think of it like that. Or think of it like that. First you want to calculate the area, and then bring the third unit. Because you know you've always done length times width, right? Do length times width, then bring back the h, or bring it in, right? So 54 times 2, again, I'm going to do it right here, times 2, review traditional multiplication. What's 2 times 4? 8. And then what's 2 times 5? 10. So your answer, therefore, is 108 meters cubed. Please don't forget the cubed. This is very important. If you don't have that, if I don't have that, what does that tell me? 108 meter, that's perimeter, right? When you don't have any number on the top, it's just superscript, then that means it's perimeter, but we know it's not. We know there's cubed, so we know it's volume. Easy enough? One more example, and then we're done. And you can try doing that on your own. You can pause the video, try to do it on your own. Let's say example 3. Okay, let's do, let me see, yeah, let's do, okay, one more. Another little slim one. And don't worry, if your shape doesn't look okay, that's all right. As long as you understand it's a 3D shape, that the bottom or the length, for this one we're going to say it's 8 centimeter. The width is, let's say, 7 centimeters. And the height, again, it's a little slimmer. We're going to say it is 1 centimeter. Really small thing. It's very tiny. Okay? So pause the video here, and I want you to try doing it on your own. Try doing as much as your own. If you only can fill in the equation and that's it, that's okay. Do as much of it as you can as of now. And then let's try to do it together now. So pause it, try, and if not, let's just do it. Volume is equal to length times width times height. So my step 1 is just, what is my equation? Ms. Mavish wants me to find volume. What is my equation? So that's step 1. Just write this down. Even if you just knew this, even if you just did this, it's great. It's a wonderful start. Because you need the formula, the equation. Okay, so I got my equation. Give yourself a check mark. Next, let's fill it in. So I know length is 8, width is 7, and height is 1. Okay, give yourself another check mark. That is also correct. And then let's do the next step. This is a step where you chunk. Think of this as your, and I'll say this is chunking. I'll say over here, this is your chunking step. So you say, I'm going to look at the first 2 and do that, right? So what's 8 times 7? 56. And then you just bring down the 1, and this time it's easy, times 1. So my final answer is 56 centimeters cubed. Give yourself a 4 check mark. Okay, if you got that right. Okay, and that's it. That's all volume is, really. You're trying to find out how much whatever, so how much water I can put in this box, how many jelly beans I can put in this box, how many Oreos I can fit in this box. Volume represents how much space is taken up inside of a shape, inside of a 3D shape. That's the only difference between area and perimeter and now volume. And so when we're doing volume, let's do a quick recap. You always need 3 different units, hence 3D shape, hence cubed. You need to know the length, the width, the height, and your equation is length times width times height. Now, if you can do it all in one go, and if you don't need this step, you don't need to do it. But for most of us, it's good to do the chunking step. Okay, this is the chunking step where you do 2 numbers, a length and width, and then you do the height. You can also do the width and height first. You can do 7 times 1 and then do it. I'm just used to, and it's really good just to do the first 2 numbers. Okay, do the first 2 numbers and then the third one because you're used to doing length times width. And then the only new thing here in terms of the answer is making sure you've got the cubed part. Okay, and that's it. That's all your notes for today. So we've done 3 examples. In regards to your practice today, you're going to be doing a little bit of textbook questions today and tomorrow. So today's Wednesday. Tomorrow is your review, kind of a review day, and then your quiz day. So today I'm going to give you the textbook questions. If you want to do half of the textbook questions today and do the half of the questions tomorrow, that's fine. If you want to do all the textbook questions today and then just do a quick review and then do your quiz tomorrow, that's also fine. It's up to you, but you've got today and tomorrow to finish the textbook questions that I will post. And then tomorrow, make sure you finish the textbook questions. I'll post the answers, and then you'll do the quiz. Okay? So that will be it for this week. So we've done some trying to figure out the dimensions when you are given the perimeter, when you're given the area, and now we're trying to calculate volume. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, then have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.